I almost quit my job over a lunchbox. It sounds ridiculous, I know. But when my coworker picked up my lunch from the break room fridge and carried it straight into our boss's office, I felt my face burn with embarrassment. I had no idea that one small act, one simple meal, was about to change not only how my boss saw me, but how I saw myself. Before we jump into this story, take a second to subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. Here at Your Channel Name, we share real-life stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be, even in the most unexpected places. Now let me tell you what happened. I work in a mid-sized marketing company just outside Chicago. Nothing fancy. Gray cubicles, stale coffee, and that low hum of printers and keyboards that never seems to stop. I've been there for 5 years, quietly doing my job. I'm not the loud one in meetings. I don't crack jokes in the hallway. I show up, I work hard, and I go home. Home is where the real magic happens. My husband, Daniel, loves to cook. I mean really loves it. After long days at work, he unwinds by experimenting in the kitchen. He grew up with a grandmother who believed that food was love, and he took that lesson to heart. Every night, he prepares dinner like he's hosting a cooking show. And almost every morning, he packs my lunch. Not a boring sandwich in a plastic bag. I'm talking grilled lemon herb chicken with roasted vegetables. Creamy pasta with sun-dried tomatoes. Homemade soups in mason jars. He even writes little notes and tucks them inside. You've got this. Proud of you. Smile today. Those lunches were my bright spot during stressful days. Most of my coworkers brought frozen meals or grabbed fast food. I didn't think much about it until one afternoon when I opened my lunch at the break room table. The smell of garlic and fresh basil filled the room. A few heads turned. "Wow, what is that?" my coworker Jenna asked, peeking over my shoulder. "Just leftovers," I said, a little embarrassed. "That's not just leftovers," she laughed. "That looks like something from a restaurant." I smiled and told her my husband had made it. She raised her eyebrows. "Your husband cooks like that? Every day?" I nodded. I didn't think it was a big deal. To me, it was just Daniel being Daniel. But apparently, to Jenna, it was something else. The next morning, I put my lunch in the fridge like always and got busy with a project deadline. Around noon, I walked into the break room, and my lunchbox was gone. At first, I thought maybe I'd left it at my desk. I checked. Nothing. That's when I saw Jenna coming down the hallway from the direction of our boss's office, holding my lunch container. "Jenna?" I called, confused. "Is that mine?" She grinned like she'd just pulled off a surprise party. "Trust me," she said. "You'll thank me." Before I could stop her, she knocked on our boss's door and walked in. My heart dropped to my stomach. Our boss, Melissa, is the kind of woman who commands a room without raising her voice. Perfectly styled hair, sharp blazers, and a reputation for being all business. She wasn't mean, but she wasn't exactly warm either. I couldn't imagine why Jenna would bring my lunch to her. I stood frozen in the hallway until Jenna waved me inside. Melissa was sitting at her desk, my lunch container open in front of her. The smell of rosemary and roasted chicken filled the room. "I hope you don't mind," Melissa said, looking up at me. Jenna insisted I try this. I wanted to disappear. "I'm so sorry," I started. I didn't know she was going to. Melissa took a bite before I could finish. She paused. Then she closed her eyes for just a second. "This," she said slowly, "is incredible." Jenna beamed. "I told you." Melissa looked at me again, but this time her expression had softened. "Did you make this?" she asked. "Oh, no," I said quickly. "My husband did." She leaned back in her chair, fork still in hand, and let out a small laugh. I wish I had a husband who could cook like this. The room went quiet. It wasn't said bitterly. It wasn't sarcastic. It was honest. For the first time since I'd worked there, I saw something different in Melissa. Not the boss. Not the executive. Just a woman. She told us she'd been divorced for 3 years. Between running the company and raising 2 teenagers, most nights she picked up takeout on her way home. Cooking felt like a luxury she didn't have time for anymore. I forgot what a home-cooked meal tastes like, she admitted softly. Something shifted in me at that moment. I had walked into that office feeling embarrassed. Exposed. But suddenly, all I felt was compassion. That night, I told Daniel what had happened. I expected him to be annoyed that his carefully packed lunch had been sampled by my boss without warning. Instead, he smiled. She liked it, he asked. She loved it, I said. She said she wished she had a husband who could cook like you. Daniel laughed. Well, I can't be her husband. But I can cook extra. The next morning, he packed 2 containers instead of 1. I hesitated before walking into the office, but I knocked on Melissa's door. I brought you something, I said, holding out the container. My husband made extra. For a split second, she looked surprised. Then her face lit up in a way I'd never seen before. You didn't have to do that, she said. I know, I replied. But we wanted to. That small gesture became a quiet routine. Once or twice a week, Daniel would cook a little extra. Nothing extravagant. Just enough to share. Melissa would always thank me, sometimes with a tired smile, sometimes with a quick story about her kids. Over time, our conversations grew longer. She started asking about my life, about Daniel, about how we made time for each other. I learned that behind her sharp blazers and tight schedule was someone carrying more than anyone realized. And something else happened, too. The office atmosphere changed. People noticed the lunches. They noticed the laughter coming from Melissa's office. One day, she brought in homemade brownies, her first attempt at baking in years. They were slightly overcooked, but we all ate them like they were gourmet. Jenna started organizing potluck Fridays. People who barely spoke before were swapping recipes and stories. The break room didn't feel so gray anymore. It wasn't about the food, really. It was about being seen. One afternoon, Melissa called me into her office. I worried I'd done something wrong. Instead, she handed me a file. I've been watching your work closely, she said. You're consistent. Reliable. And you care about people. We need more of that in leadership. She offered me a promotion to team lead. I was stunned. I don't understand, I said. There are others who are louder, more experienced. She shook her head. Skills can be taught, she said. Kindness can't. And you've reminded this office what that looks like. I walked out of that office holding back tears. All because of a lunchbox. Looking back, I realized something important. Kindness doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't need a spotlight. Sometimes it's just an extra portion of chicken. A handwritten note. A simple knock on a door. Daniel didn't cook those meals to impress anyone. He cooked because he loves me. And by sharing that love, we created a ripple effect we never expected. Melissa eventually started cooking again, even if it was just on Sundays. She told me her kids noticed the difference. Dinner feels like home again, she said. As for Jenna, I thanked her for embarrassing me that day. She laughed and said, "Best decision I ever made." We never know what someone else is carrying. The person who seems the strongest might be the loneliest. The one who looks put together might be longing for something simple and warm. Kindness bridges that gap. It turns coworkers into community. Bosses into human beings. Ordinary moments into life-changing ones. So the next time you have something good, whether it's a meal, a compliment, or just a little extra time, consider sharing it. You never know whose heart might be hungry. If this story touched you, think about one small act of kindness you can do this week. Maybe it's bringing coffee for a colleague. Maybe it's cooking for a neighbor. Maybe it's just telling someone you appreciate them. Because sometimes, the smallest lunchbox can carry the biggest lesson. And trust me, it's always worth sharing.